Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Reading Reddit with Amber. Here I am, Amber, and again I have Brian with me to co-host.
Hi, I'm Brian.
So let's get right into it. Our first story today is, am I the jerk for telling my daughter she indulges her cat too much and needs to grow up for her own sake?
No.
I think we're going to not see eye to eye on this. My daughter is a 28-year-old female, and she lives in a very small apartment in town with her boyfriend because she is still a student. So clutter piles up quickly in a small place. I believe that living in a nice and clean environment is crucial for productivity and mental health. Her place isn't dirty, but the way she appeases her cat is chaotic and leads to a messy home. Last time I was there, I told her she needs to start keeping a grown-up home because she isn't a child and she isn't living in a dorm anymore. She needs to be more careful about tidying because she is aiming for a professional degree, and I think that living well now is preparation for that. Examples of the clutter are, she constantly has an old ratty blanket laying unfolded on her couch, quote, because the cat likes to nap there, and another in the corner of the bedroom for the same reason. There is a visible cat carrier with pillows and blankets in her main living space, quote, because the cat likes it. She has a little cat bed on her kitchen table and says the sun comes in there and of course, quote, the cat likes it. There are cat toys on the floor. She keeps cat litter in a storage closet and the door is constantly open and it looks messy and you can see the litter. There are cat food dishes in multiple rooms and pieces of food are always littered around it and need sweeping. She even nailed up a cat shelf on the wall, which is just an ugly carpeted piece of wood. Overall, it looks like the cat's apartment rather than hers. She leaves water dishes in weird places like on side tables and under desks, which looks odd and messy. I know the cat sleeps in her bed with her, so leaving all these extra things around because the cat likes it looks really messy and unnecessary. She is the pet owner and she can decide where the cat sleeps. She just refuses and lives like this all the time. I have also had pets before and understand she loves the cat and wants it to be happy, but I never had an animal take over my home this way. She treats it like a roommate. I wasn't angry when I brought it up, just trying to get her to see how she could live in a nicer environment if she dialed back on the cat's space. I said she should try to have a more adult home and focus on making it look nice and cozy for herself, not just living around an animal, so she could prepare for professional life. She basically laughed and said thanks for the idea, but she won't take it, and said I'm being a bit of a jerk. She won't even consider it for a minute. I think she is being immature, and while she isn't being mean, I don't think it makes me a jerk to try to guide her to a more adult way of living, but she sure does. Was I being a jerk? Yes.
Oh, OP. I totally see where you're coming from here, because it seems like that cat has her brainwashed. And, yeah, that cat must be, basically running her life. I don't know how she possibly survives like this, with all of this cat stuff kicking around the house. It must be really difficult. What do you think, Amber?
I think OP is being a jerk here.
You think OP is being a jerk?
Yes.
Telling her adult daughter that she needs to live a certain way and that she needs to grow up?
Well, based on her definition of clutter, if she took one look at our house, she would probably have an aneurysm. So...
Well, we do have clutter kicking around, but we also don't have a lot of place.
Yeah, no,
it's
stuff. It's a small house, and it sounds like the daughter lives in a small place too. And so, I mean, the thing is, this cat is part of her family, and she has things in places that are comfortable for the cat.
Well, and it's also how many people are probably visiting her right now?
Yeah, that too.
It's who is she going to have company? What kind of company is she going to have over right now?
Her mom to judge her.
Her mom to judge her for having a house with some clutter kicking around. I do understand, a little bit where the mom is coming from with, all the different cat bowls and stuff like that kicking around the house. But, it's her apartment, and she can decorate it however she wants.
Yeah, and I mean, I think having a pet is having another little living being in your house. And I think it's important to make sure that your pets, because especially because they can't like advocate for themselves, to have to kind of like pay attention to them as much as possible and make sure they have things to make them feel comfortable in their environment.
Unless you train them how to talk.
Unless you train them how to talk.
With those buttons.
Yes, well, we need more of that. But until we get that, you have to kind of guess, based on how the cat's behavior, how they're feeling. So, like, for example, the bed on the table, like, cats love sunbeams. And if that's where the sun is coming in, like, and cats like height places too, So I think that's a really nice gesture to put the cat bed on the table so the cat has a nice sunny spot to, nap in. So I don't think Opie's daughter is doing anything wrong here, and I think this idea that you have to have a spotless home to be an adult is this really weird gatekeeper stuff. Like...
Yeah, well, she uses the excuse that she wants the house to look neat so that she can be more professional, but if her boss is coming over to her house, then there are probably deeper issues.
Right. Well, that's the thing is, like, I mean, we both have professional degrees, and we don't have a spotless house. And there's nothing wrong with having a spotless house, and I would like to have a cleaner house once we have more space, but...
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's neither here nor there. I mean, the fact of the matter is that the mom is kind of out of line here, talking to her about, how her house is and whatnot. Like, it would be one thing if her house was actually, like, a health hazard.
Right, yeah.
And raising concerns and saying, hey, look, I think you're living in an environment that is hazardous to your health.
Yeah.
But this is just clutter.
Yeah.
And it sounds like she just has stuff around for the cat. And it sounds like the cat has free reign of the house, which, I mean, cats do as cats do, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, this doesn't sound like an unhealthy situation.
No.
It's not like she has 30 cats and they're, like, literally, like, buried under piles of stuff here. Like,
right.
That would be an actual health concern, and the mom would be right to bring that up and be like, honey, maybe you should have 29 cats instead of 30.
Right. Like, there's nothing in this story to indicate that there's actually any, threats to the humans or animals. It's just an aesthetic thing.
Yeah.
And aesthetics, at the end of the day, are up to the people who run the space.
Exactly. And, like, the mom does actually have a really good point. Like, a clean environment and, like, a neat environment can help, because when you have a lot of clutter kicking around, it creates a lot of mental fatigue and whatnot. So she's not entirely wrong here, but she also, like, if the daughter doesn't want to do that, then she just should drop it.
Yeah, well, and everyone is different. Like, definitely, I know that there have been psychological studies done that suggest that cleaner spaces are better for productivity, but every individual is different, and so, maybe the daughter is able to do all her work perfectly well with a few cat things lying around.
Yeah. All right. Our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for not giving into my sister-in-law's insane request over a doll? I was at a thrift store and found a funky doll in the toy section, and immediately my mind went to my daughter because she's in her doll stage, so I thought she'd love it. It's like a burlap fabric with these shells like you see on a necklace, and stitches for eyes and yarn for hair. I was right. She loved it, and she's attached to it now. She named it Bob, and he wears dresses. Last week, my sister-in-law and brother came over. I typically get along just fine with sister-in-law. We're different people for sure. She's from Cuba, but I've always liked her, and we usually go to thrift stores shopping together. I mentioned that I had gone a little while back to look for puzzles and found a doll for Lola. I told Lola to show her auntie, Bob, and sister-in-law pulled her hand away, and she looked shocked. Lola tried to hand her the doll, but she wouldn't take it, which I thought was rude. Like a toddler hands you a toy, you take it, right? I told Lola to go play with her brother and ask sister-in-law why she was acting weird. Lola just wanted to share Bob with her. Sister-in-law asked me why I got Lola a voodoo doll. I was like, what? First of all, This is the real world, not TV. She said I need to get rid of it. I was like, no. Why would we take away the doll my daughter loves? To me, that's crazy. Then she was like, give it to me for a few days and I'll fix it and bring it back. I said there was nothing to fix. The whole rest of the day, she kept looking at Bob out of the corner of her eye, and she refused to sit near it or Lola when she had Bob, which was making me mad because Lola didn't do anything to deserve being ignored by her auntie. It was like there was a big cloud over the whole house that left with sister-in-law. My brother texted me later and said that it was really bothering sister-in-law and asked me if I could just please humor her and let us borrow the doll. I said no, and maybe this is where I was a jerk, but I said maybe you need to get your wife's head checked if she really believes in this stuff. He wrote back that it was part of her culture and that he doesn't believe in it either, but if it's that important to her, it's important to him. I wrote back, you are both nuts, laughing my butt off. I'm more angry at my sister-in-law that she ignored Lola and treated her bad just because of a doll, and don't feel like I'm being unreasonable at all. I don't want to humor my sister-in-law. I asked my husband and he told me I should just give them the doll and let it be over. But like if I give in to this fantasy, then what's next?
Let me see if I can find that comment.
There's a comment.
I think the important thing that no one's talking about is, OP, you are 10,000% the dumb person at the start of a horror movie. That voodoo doll is probs going to strangle you with its tiny hands while you sleep, and then it will possess your child. So that comment just made me chuckle.
So I think the big thing here is that you shouldn't insult other people's cultures, and you shouldn't call people crazy because they have irrational beliefs.
Right.
Lots of people have irrational beliefs, and she believes that the voodoo doll is, has some kind of mystical properties and is part of her culture. And it's not something that OP seems to understand or relate to because she just thinks of it as like the TV version of these things, which I think is really kind of culturally insensitive of her.
It is. And I think kind of a better way to think about this, and because a lot of people do see voodoo just as like this thing they've seen on TV, is like any other phobia. Like, you don't have to believe in it yourself, but you should respect that this is something that she is legitimately afraid of.
Yeah, like, I'm not a superstitious person at all. Like, I'm basically, like, the least superstitious. But I will not touch a Ouija board. And Amber won't either.
Yes, well,
like,
I'm lots of superstitious.
Yeah, but, Amber's very superstitious. But, like, to me, it's like, well, I've never had a great curiosity about these kinds of things. And while I don't, like, believe in these kinds of things, I also am not, like, the kind of person who is like, let's try this out. Let's try it scientifically, summon demons from the beyond. Or ghosts.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think, like, I don't remember if I read this in the comments on this post or something else, but someone mentioned, like, what if it's like a spider? So let's say the daughter has a pet spider.
Yeah.
And, the sister-in-law was terrified of spiders.
Yeah.
Like, I think most of us would expect if she didn't want to go up to the daughter when she was petting her pet tarantula, And so I think...
that would be rude to not. Like, if someone has a pet tarantula, you better pet that tarantula.
So... I don't know that everyone's going to agree with you on that.
Oh, they'll all agree with me. What do you folks think? Pet the tarantula or no?
So
my vote is actually a no. I'm not going to touch that spider. I'm not going to touch that spider.
Yeah.
I'm not even afraid of spiders, but I still want to touch a tarantula.
Yeah. So, I think it is fine for OP to not want to get rid of the doll. Because, it's her daughter's property, and that's all well and good. But it is also important to recognize that the sister-in-law does have a genuine phobia here. And it would have been nice to put Bob up for the duration of the visit. Mm-hmm. And don't bring mental health into it. Because people have all kinds of different religious beliefs, and that doesn't mean it's a mental illness.
Yeah, exactly. Like, religious beliefs, your religious beliefs are completely irrational to someone else. And, it doesn't matter what religion you are, it just is. Like, to, someone who believes in the Hindu gods, the Christian god is probably seems like an irrational thing to believe in, and, vice versa. And religious beliefs are religious beliefs. Like, people have them, and you can't just claim people are, nuts because they have them.
Yeah, so I don't think it's wrong for Opie to want to keep the doll. And I think that if the sister-in-law is to push to take it away, that is where she's kind of overstepping her bounds. But I do think that Opie did not handle the situation very well.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Well, and also, like, what I'm kind of curious about is, like, why does she, if she doesn't want to touch the voodoo doll, why does she want to take it home with her?
Probably to destroy it would be my guess.
You think she wants to destroy the voodoo doll?
I mean,
there might be, like, some kind of spiritual cleansing.
There could be.
Ceremony that she would do over it, and I would think that would be my guess. Like, I don't think she's intending on destroying it, but maybe she is. Well, and, like, you honestly, like, you don't know if this voodoo doll is been used for actual voodoo or something like that. And, like, while I wouldn't, like, I would kind of feel icky about using something like a voodoo doll if it had been used for, like, a, nefarious purpose, even if it wasn't, like, something that actually worked or not. It would just make me still feel bad about using something that was, like a, I guess, vessel for someone's evil deeds or attempted evil deeds.
Well, and I make lots of spooky stuff. I have my craft blog is like Halloween basically a quarter of the year, if not more. But I don't even make, like, pretend voodoo dolls, even though I think it's a really cool aesthetic, because it's like, that's not my thing. I'm staying away from this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I personally would not let the child keep the voodoo doll. I personally would be like, oh, let's go get you a new doll from the toy store.
Bob's gonna go become a movie star in Hollywood.
Yes. But, I mean, that's OP's call at the end of the day, and that's fine, but treat sister-in-law better than you are.
Yeah,
Respect
exactly.
that her beliefs are true to her.
Yeah.
If we were filming this, it's actually literally tea this time.
It is literally tea this time. Literally tea. If this was my channel, then we could tell them all about the tea.
Yes, we could. Brian could spill the tea on the tea. Just in case we want to use any of this. Brian has this thing where he drinks water with a tea bag in it, and he calls it water, but it's tea because there's a tea bag in it. In my opinion, we had this big debate on his channel, and people agreed with me that it's tea, so it's just kind of a running gag we have now.
Yeah.
But if you want to learn more about the tea situation, just hop on over to Brian's channel, and you can see us talking about his tea.
Yeah, exactly. I might even throw the original video up there somewhere. Not on Amber's face, but somewhere in the corner up there.
Just right over my head. Our last story today is, am I the jerk for calling my parents selfish for wanting me to give them grandchildren before I'm ready? Hi friends, I will try to keep this as brief as possible. I'm a 24-year-old female, and ideally I'd like to have children in my 30s. 33 to 35 feels like a good age for me. I feel this way because I still have so much to do. I have just graduated from my master's and started my first graduate job. I'm not in a relationship at the moment, nor do I feel like I need to be. I'm just enjoying my life, working hard, looking for new experiences, and trying to make something of myself. My parents say that 35 is too late of an age to be having children, and they would like me to have children earlier so they get to spend as much time as possible with them. I told them that I felt it was a bit selfish that they wanted me to sacrifice my happiness and life plan to make them happy, and even though I completely understood their perspective, my happiness and personal goals are my first priority. I believe I deserve to live my life fully before making such a large commitment like having a child. Plus, having a child is a massive responsibility. I want to focus on myself and my dreams first, and when I'm ready, financially and mentally, and in a stable, long-term relationship with someone I completely trust, I would love to start a family. My parents would never push me to do anything, but they are making me feel guilty for wanting to put myself first. I felt awful saying they were selfish for wanting me to have a child younger than I planned just to make them happy, but it's genuinely how I feel. So what do you guys think? Edited to add, My parents had me when they were 31 and 32. So I think OP is being completely reasonable here. I think that, having a child is a major, major step and obligation and responsibility. So definitely, and it's a major time suck too. So definitely wanting to have your life in order before you have kids is a great goal.
Well, you know what I think? I think that you should always have children because of guilt.
Oh, yes.
And that's the main reason why anyone should have a child is someone says, I really want you to have children. So I know you don't want to right now, but please, pretty please. That is the reason, the premier reason.
That will never backfire on
that
you
will
in the
never
long run.
backfire. And she should just pop out kids right now. Just go head on down to the fertility clinic and
yeah, not wait until you're in a stable relationship or anything. Well, that's the thing too, is having kids, not that you can't have them solo, because people do that all the time, but for a lot of people, they want that extra help and support. They don't want to raise a child solo.
Yeah.
Because having kids is a lot of work, and if you have two people to share the work, that can make it a little easier and more manageable. So I think it's really inappropriate for her OP's parents to be pushing her when, one, she's just finished school, just gotten her first job. Well, first of all, I think it's inappropriate, period, to push people to do things they're not comfortable with, especially something as big as kids. But, she has just finished school, and she doesn't have any kind of relationship. So why are they pushing her to have kids basically immediately? I understand they want to spend time with their grandkids, but doesn't OP's life and future matter?
Yeah, well, the bit here that seems a little odd to me is that they were in their 30s when they had kids, and it seems like I don't know, maybe she should sit down and talk to them and understand, why they're setting this double standard for her, why they felt like they could have kids in their 30s, but, she shouldn't have kids in her 30s.
Well, I think they just want to spend lots of time with the grandkids, because, if OP's 24, they're already in their late 50s.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, maybe the same thing kind of happened between them and their parents, and, maybe something happened to one of their parents, and they really regret not having kids sooner, or something like that. And so maybe they, I'm not saying they should change their mind about having kids at 35. I think that if that's the age that they think that they're going to be ready, then that's probably a good age for them. But I think they should hopefully try to kind of understand what's happening with the parents and why the parents, or actually I think the parents should try to understand why they feel it's necessary to pressure their daughter into having kids. And I think sometimes conversations can really help to spur that, thought process. Is why is this so important for you to have me have kids right now?
Yeah. Well, and they chose to have OP when they were over 30.
Yeah.
So they already were shortening the amount of time to be able to have with hypothetical grandchildren.
Exactly. Now they're trying to blame her for that.
Right. They're trying to make up for that somehow by making OP have kids younger. I just don't understand that, because presumably they love OP and want her to have a good life, but pushing her to have kids too young is going to do the opposite of that.
Yeah.
So, and is spending time with these hypothetical grandchildren and having OP be miserable for the rest of her life because she never got to pursue her goals or focus on herself and didn't have a stable relationship when she had kids. I really think they need to think about what they're actually asking of OP.
Yeah, exactly.
And at the end of the day, it is OP's decision to make, and I think she is well within her right to say, I don't want to have kids now. I'm not in a position to. I ideally want to have them in 10 years' time. And she's also free to change her mind if 10 years rolls around and she still doesn't feel ready to have kids. Then it's fine if she doesn't have kids. But it's unfortunate that the parents are kind of pressuring her into doing this when she is not in a position to feel like she's ready for it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, those are all the stories I have for you for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider giving it a like or letting me know in the comments. I post videos currently every Wednesday. We've been maintaining this for a few weeks, so hopefully we'll keep going with the Wednesday scheduling. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.
Bye.
Oh, we're doing creepy smiles now?
Oh, I guess so.